Alright, so today we are going to look at loops, arrays, functions and all, and let's start again. Right, I'll make a new project called Day2, and in this project, inside the source folder, I will create a new class called while loop, which I had started yesterday as well, but didn't do it. Right. Okay. Now loop is something which first of all repeats itself again and again, right? And you guys must have made a loop sometime in your career as well, right? Student career or professional career. Okay. Now if I write integer I equals to 1, right? This part is known as initialization of the variable. Fine. And after that I can write a while loop, while a brackets, curly bracket and curly bracket ends. This will be the scope of the while loop. Okay, inside the round brackets you have to give some condition which evaluates to boolean type. Okay, that I will write while I less than 100. Okay, and inside the while loop I will write system.out.println I, right, and on the next line I will write I equals to I plus 2. So what will happen when control comes in, the value of I will be printed, I will be incremented by 2, and the condition will again be checked, is I less than 2, right? Sorry, is I less than 100? No, it's not less than 100. Okay, you keep on going on and on again and again and keep on printing the value of I till the value of I reaches equal to 100 or it reaches beyond 100, right? So when you run this code, see, this prints all the odd numbers. Fine. Okay, and as I told you yesterday, that the problem with the while loop is that we can actually fall into a trap, that if somehow this condition comes out, is never false, it's always true, then we will actually fall inside an infinite loop. The loop will never stop, right? And moreover, if I somehow miss out this condition and I run the code, the value of I will never be incremented, it will never change. You see, 1 is getting printed and I will be stuck in an infinite loop. This program is running infinitely. Now in Eclipse, if you have to stop the program, you click on this button, terminate button. The program will stop in between. So the problem is, this is the problem with this is basically the problem with the while loop. Conditionals, this is the condition statement. Okay. Now in Selenium, when we do Selenium, in which conditions can we use a loop? Right, that's also a major question. Why do we use loops in Selenium? Where will we use it? Right, I will be answering this shortly. After I actually tell you about the famous for loop. For loop actually eliminates the drawback of the while loop. Right, right click on your package, go to new class, give your class a name, for loop. Okay, in the while loop part, this was the initialization, this was the condition, and out here this was the incrementation or the decrementation part, right? In for loop, what happens is everything happens in the same line, right? I write something like this: for int I equals to 0, I less than 10, I equals to I plus 1, right? And when I run this code and I print system.out.println I, right? So C prints numbers from 0 to 9 because I should always be less than 10. There are various signals. This is the sign of less than, greater than. Comparison is double equal to, less than equal to, greater than equal to. So these are some of the comparison operators, right? So the point is initialization, condition, and implementation or decrementation. Okay, it actually is happening in one line, right? So now, how will we use the for loop in Selenium? How will we use the while loop in Selenium? Okay, I cannot give a practical example for a while loop right now because you won't be able to realize the situation even if I try to explain it. But for a for loop, you can, like, there's a web list. Okay, you all know what a web list is, right? It's a drop box. When you click on it, something like this. If you're not able to visualize, suppose there's a drop list like this, and using Selenium I have to extract all the values of this drop list, right? So we will actually write a for loop here, which will loop from the first item till the last item of the drop list, and it will retrieve all the items. Or for example, we want that I want to extract all the links of this page and print the names, right? So I will bring in all the links in an array or an array list, right? If you have studied that array and all, then I will print the names using the for loop, right? So for loop is very important. Or I want to read my data from an Excel sheet. There are 10 rows in the Excel sheet, right? I want to read my test data from an Excel sheet, then I will actually pick up the test data from an Excel sheet using a for loop from first cell, from second cell, from third cell, something like that. It's not as simple as I am telling you, but you will certainly require a loop in that. Okay, so loops are important, right? Now there are many things which you can actually do with a for loop or a while loop. For example, I want to calculate the sum of first 50 numbers. Fine. So I can write a for loop like this. I can assume initially that the sum is 0, right? I can write for int x equals to 0. Let's take a better variable, n equals to 0. N should be less than equal to 50, right? And n equals to n plus 1, right? Now inside this for loop I can write sum equals to sum plus n, right? And after the for loop you write system.out.println sum is plus sum. So out here, as I had explained you earlier, I have concatenated a string with the integer. Yeah, I think, right? Now when you run this code, see, it's printing sum is 1275. Now how is this logic working? Okay, some of you might be understanding it, some of you might not be able to understand it. The best way to understand the logic and the best way to debug something, or the best way to know what's happening, how the code is running, is to debug the code. Okay, so I'll tell you about the debugging process. It's very easy in Eclipse, right? All you need to do is you need to put a breakpoint first. Okay, for debugging, these are the following steps. The step number 1 is for debugging. Listen to this very carefully. When you make lengthy programs in Java, debugging actually saves you, right? Wait a minute, I'll also increase my font size so that you are able to see the screen very clearly. Right, I think it will be better now. Right, so now debugging, the first step is to put a breakpoint. Right, now what is a breakpoint and how do you put it? You double click in front of any line. For example, this is int sum equals to 0, right? I will double click on in front of this. there will be a small dot coming up that's known as a breakpoint, right? When you, instead of normally running it, click on this icon. It is the icon for debugging the program, right? When you run this, the control will actually stop on that line. Click on yes and see that this line is highlighted with a green color. That means the control has actually stopped over here. If you look at the console, numbers from 0 to 9 are printed. That means the code above this has executed, this for loop has executed and printed numbers from 0 to 9. But after this, the sum is 0, right? And we have to move further. Okay, on the left, out here in this panel over here, variables tab. Okay, you see the status of each and every variable you have declared. For example, if I press F6, then the current line, the highlighted line in green color will be executed. See that? The line moves to the next line, and out here in variables, we have a variable called sum whose value is 0. Right? After that, I again press F6 and I see that the value, the one line is executed and n is also initialized with 0. Right? Now in this line, the value of sum will be equal to the value of plus the value of n. So the value of sum and n both are 0, so the value of sum will come out to be 0. Right? So I press F6 again. When I press F6, the loop runs for the second time and the value of n becomes 1. Right? And the value of sum is 0. So 0 plus 1 will become 1 and 1 will go inside the sum variable. Right? Now the value of n becomes 2. Now 2 plus 1 will be calculated and the value of the result will go inside sum, that is 3. So you keep on pressing F6 and you will be able to see the updated values. Right? Now suppose I don't want to press F6 and run my program, I understood the logic and I just want to run it normally. Okay? You simply press F8. When you press F8, the program runs normally and it prints the output in the end. Okay? So basically, if you want to come back to the original screen, then you press on the Java icon over here. There are various perspectives in this drop list when you click on this icon. Generally we work in the Java perspective while working with Selenium. Right? This is the Java perspective and this is the debug perspective. So these are the two basic perspectives in which we will be running our programs in Selenium. When we face problems in Selenium, we go to the debug perspective, we debug the program, we put the breakpoints to see where actually the script is failing, whether it is because of the application or it is because of our human error. Fine, it's very helpful in development of the script. Okay. Now coming over to this, the first step was putting a breakpoint, that is double clicking in front of every line, or sorry, in front of the line on which you want to stop the control. Right? After putting the breakpoint, the key is F6. Okay, this will move line by line, and after that, if you want to run normally, then press F8. This will be very helpful. There's another thing called F5, which I will talk about later on. Okay, so these are some of the good examples of for loop. Maybe you can try and do some exercises using for loop. Okay, the first can be you print all the numbers divisible by 5. You will have to search on the net something, right, and print the table of 7 using a for loop, 7 cross 1 till 7 cross 10, or you can print tables from 1 to 10. Yeah, this one is a little bit tricky. Okay, write a for loop which first prints the table of 1, after that it should print the table of 2, after that it should print table of 3, in a single run. Okay, in a single run it should do that. Alright, so this is quite important. Okay, you should be able to understand the logic behind the for loop. Okay, all three exercises have to be done with the for loop. Okay, now right, we just studied about loops, and now we will study about something known as arrays and all in Java. Right, uh, single dimensional arrays and two dimensional arrays and drawbacks of arrays and all everything. Okay, now I'll make a new class called arrays. Fine, and right. Okay, now what is an array? Array is something which can store multiple variables together. For example, I have to store 10 names. Okay, or giving you a practical example, suppose I am testing my application and um, I search on internet for a flight between two stations. Right, I want to move from Delhi to Mumbai, and I am on some airline website. Right, so I search from flights between two stations, and I get all the flights. Now I want to store the prices of all the flights somewhere. Right, so I cannot use 10 variables if there are 10 flights. In flight 1 cost equals to that much, in flight 2 cost equals to something. Right, so I need something in which I can collectively store all the um, prices. Right, so that solution is given by arrays. Right, so array looks something like this. Okay, it will have sections inside it. Okay, in a layman's term, there are sections. Right, each section can hold some value. Okay, and each section has an index, that is, this is the index 0, this is the index 1, this is the index 2, this is the index 3 and 4. It's like a, you can say it's like a colony in which you have got addresses of each and every house. Right, so the index, this address is known as the index. Okay, this is very important. You can access the value inside the each and every cell over here with the help of this index. Now there are two rules in arrays. Right, the rule number 1 is that the size of an array is fixed. Okay, if an array holds 5 elements, then it cannot hold more than 5. You cannot put more than 5 elements inside it. Okay, the second rule is it can hold similar types of elements. If I am declaring an integer array, then I can only store integers in it. If I am declaring a string array, then I can only store string inside it. I'll just tell you how do we do that. Okay, we make an array like this. For example, I want to store 5 numbers. I make an array like int arr. Arr is the name of my array. Then you have to give square brackets. Okay, int arr equals to new int, and in brackets you mention the size of the array, that is 3. Suppose I am giving 3 over here. That means this array will have 3 indexes, 3 places to store value, 3 sections, right, and it can only store integers. Fine. If I write arr 0 equals to 125, right, after that I write arr 1 equals to 225, right? And ARR2 equals to 800. Fine, I have stored three numbers inside this integer array. I cannot write ARR2 equals to a string 800. It will give me an error. Okay, that it should be of the type integer. Okay. Similarly, I cannot write a decimal number here because integer cannot be a decimal. So I have to declare an array as double then, an array of double, right? Remember double data type, it can store integers as well as decimals. Right? Now if I declare a string array str round bracket square brackets equals to new string 3, then I can store three strings inside it. Str 0 equals to US, right? Str 1 S str1 equals to India, str2 equals to UK. So I have put three strings inside it. So a string array can hold strings, an integer array can hold integers. Fine. Now what if I want to print all the values of this string array? Okay, I can write a for loop for int I equals to 0 semicolon I less than 3 semicolon I equals to I plus 1. Fine. So right, I equals to I plus 1, right? And you write system dot out dot println stri, fine. And when you run this code, okay, when you run this code, right, it prints all the names of the countries, right? So instead of 3, you can also write str dot length. Str dot length represents the length of the array. Okay, so when you run this, str dot length, when you run this code, it prints 3. That means 3 is the length of this array, right? So now this is the basic operation of array. Okay, 99% of the times you will be declaring an array, putting numbers into it, and you will be using the for loop to parse each and every element inside the array. Alright, now there are various drawbacks of arrays. Okay, the major drawback is that the size is fixed. I should be knowing the size. Now as I took the example with you, I need to find the flights between Delhi and Mumbai, and I need to put the prices inside the array, right? Now if I don't know how many flights are there, okay, maybe on today I check there are around 10 flights. Tomorrow I check there might be around 15 flights. Day after tomorrow I check there might be around 9 flights. So my program, I cannot modify my program every time I run my scripts. Then what's the use of automation testing, right? So this is the basic drawback of array, and to overcome this drawback, we have got classes in Java, we have got functionalities in Java, which we will later on study in the module number 7, I guess 6 or 7 out here. In the module 6 we have the collections API. Okay, this provides us with data structures which are dynamically growing in nature. You don't have to uh, declare the initial size, right? So the basic drawback of array is that the size is fixed. All right. So that's what we actually um, we actually sometimes we are stuck at this thing. Okay. So I always discourage the use of arrays until or unless I know that the size of my data will be fixed. For example, when will I use an array? I have a page. Okay, I have a registration page on a website, right? And I want to use Selenium to fill in data inside 5 text fields. Now I know that my application is stable. The automation tools, they are generally used in the regression phase of testing. In regression phase, everybody knows that the application is almost stable, fine. So I know that the 5 text fields will not change. Tomorrow the sixth one will not be introduced. Okay, so I can put my test data inside an array, and then from the array I can read it and I can put the test data inside the text field, right? So that's how we do it. We read the test data from an Excel file, put it inside an array, and from the array we Selenium reads it and puts it inside the application, right? So at times you will be requiring arrays as well, and we will see everything. How do we practically implement this? Fine. So right.